Most personal finance content tells you what to stop buying. Stop buying coffee. Stop buying cars you can't afford. Stop buying things that depreciate, things that signal status you haven't built, things that perform wealth rather than create it. The list of things to stop buying is long, well documented, and largely correct, and it gets you to $250,000 in net worth through a combination of restraint, automation, and the compounding that both produce over time. But nobody tells you what to start buying when you get there. Not because there's nothing worth buying at $250,000, because the financial content industry is built around the scarcity mindset that gets people to $250,000, and it hasn't updated the framework for what becomes appropriate, useful, and genuinely wealth-accelerating once you arrive. $250,000 is a specific threshold, not arbitrary, not a round number chosen for its aesthetics. It is the level at which, if you're under 45, your current balance will compound to a fully funded retirement without another dollar contributed, assuming historical market returns. It is the level at which your annual investment returns are approaching or exceeding your annual contributions. It is the level at which the financial decisions available to you expand in ways that have nothing to do with spending more and everything to do with spending differently. Today, we're going through exactly what to start buying at $250,000, not status purchases, not lifestyle upgrades, the specific categories of spending that accelerate wealth from this point forward in ways that restraint alone cannot. My name is William, and some of these are going to challenge the framework that got you here.
1. A fee-only financial planner, one time for the specific decisions this level creates. At $250,000 in net worth, you have crossed into territory where the financial decisions, Roth conversion strategies, asset location optimization, Social Security timing, estate planning basics, insurance coverage adequacy, tax loss harvesting become complex enough that the cost of getting them wrong exceeds the cost of getting professional guidance. A fee-only financial planner, not a commission-based advisor, not someone whose income depends on the products they sell you, charges $200 to $500 per hour or $2,500 to $5,000 for a comprehensive financial plan. That cost, applied to decisions at this net worth level, frequently produces tax savings, insurance corrections, and optimization decisions worth 10 to 20 times the fee in the first year alone. The specific value at $250,000, a Roth conversion analysis. The question of whether and how much to convert traditional IRA or 401k balances to Roth is one of the most consequential tax decisions available to someone at this net worth level, and it is almost never made correctly without modeling. The difference between an optimal and a suboptimal Roth conversion strategy over a 20-year retirement can exceed $100,000 in after-tax wealth. The fee-only financial planner who models this correctly costs $3,000. The math justifies it by an order of magnitude. By the hour, ask the specific questions, implement the answers. Do not retain the planner on an ongoing percentage of assets basis. That model creates a conflict of interest between the planner's income and your net worth. Buy the expertise. Apply it yourself.
2. Term life insurance, if you haven't already, at the right amount. At $250,000 in net worth, you have built something worth protecting. If your death would create financial hardship for anyone dependent on your income, a spouse, children, a business partner, term life insurance is not optional. It is the infrastructure that prevents 20 years of wealth building from being dismantled by a single event. Term life insurance at 45 in reasonable health costs approximately $50 to $80 per month for a $1,000 20-year policy. That $600 to $960 annually is the cost of ensuring that the financial foundation you've built survives you in a form that can support the people it was built for. The specific decision at $250,000 is coverage amount. The standard recommendation is 10 to 12 times annual income. At $100,000 income, that's $1 million to $1,200,000 in coverage. Your existing net worth partially offsets the coverage need, meaning the $250,000 you've built reduces the insurance gap, but it does not eliminate it if your income is still the primary support for dependents whose financial needs extend beyond what $250,000 covers. Buy the term policy, not whole life. The investment component of whole life insurance is one of the most consistently overpriced financial products available, and the commission structure that produces it is specifically designed to make it appear attractive by comparison. Buy term, invest the difference. The math on this comparison has been settled for decades.
3. Your health, specifically the infrastructure that extends your earning and investing horizon. This is the category most financial content treats as a lifestyle expense and most wealthy people treat as a capital investment, because the return on genuine health investment measured in additional productive years is one of the highest available to anyone past the age of 40. At $250,000 in net worth, the spending worth considering, a comprehensive annual physical that goes beyond what your standard insurance covers. A preventive health screening package, cardiovascular markers, metabolic panel, cancer screening appropriate to your age that catches problems early enough to be inexpensive to treat rather than late enough to be expensive and irreversible. A functional strength training program with professional instruction if you haven't built one independently. The research on resistance training and longevity, cognitive function, and metabolic health past 40 is extensive enough to make this a financial decision as much as a health one. The wealthiest people at the highest net worth levels spend disproportionately on health maintenance relative to health treatment. This is not coincidence. Health is the asset that everything else runs on. The retirement account that compounds for 20 years requires someone to withdraw from it. The compound interest that works on your behalf for 3 decades requires someone to benefit from it. Investing in the health infrastructure that extends the horizon of that compounding is not wellness spending, it is portfolio maintenance. 4. Time, specifically buying it back from the lowest value activities in your life. At $250,000, you have built enough of a financial foundation that the most valuable resource is no longer money, it is time. Specifically, the time currently consumed by activities that produce no compounding benefit and could be delegated, eliminated, or purchased away from you at a cost that your current financial position makes trivially justified. Cleaning service if it frees 12 hours per month you'd spend on high-value work or recovery. Grocery delivery if the friction of shopping is consuming time that costs more per hour than the delivery fee. Lawn maintenance if your Saturday afternoon has a better use. Tax preparation by a CPA rather than the annual ritual of spending a weekend on a task that requires professional expertise to optimize and your best hours to execute adequately. The specific calculation, what is your effective hourly rate, annual income divided by actual working hours, and what tasks are you performing personally at a cost per hour below that rate? Every task below your hourly rate is a task worth outsourcing. At $100,000 annual income and 2,000 working hours, your effective rate is $50 per hour. A $120 monthly cleaning service that returns 4 hours costs $30 per recovered hour. The financial case for outsourcing is straightforward arithmetic at this net worth level. Most people who reach $250,000 through restraint have trouble making it intuitively. Make it mathematically instead. 5. Education that directly compounds your earning capacity. At $250,000, the investment with the highest potential return in your portfolio is not the index fund. It is the skill, certification, credential, or knowledge that increases your income ceiling by $20,000, $30,000, or $50,000 per year, because that increase compounded across 10 remaining peak earning years and saved at the same rate as your current surplus produces a terminal wealth figure that no investment return on the existing $250,000 approaches. The specific investments worth considering at this level: a graduate degree if the income premium in your field justifies the cost and time, run the actual numbers, not the aspirational ones; a professional certification with documented income premium in your industry; a specific technical skill, data analysis, financial modeling, software development, digital marketing, with broad market demand and documented salary differential; an executive education program at a business school if you're on a path where the network and credential produce appointment-level opportunities that your current credential doesn't access. The test for any educational investment at this level is not whether the content is valuable, it is whether the credential, the network, or the demonstrated competency produces a specific, documentable income increase within 3 years that exceeds the total cost of acquisition. If yes, this is the highest return investment available to you. If the income path is unclear, don't confuse learning with investing. The two are related, but not the same. 6. Estate planning documents before you need them. At $250,000 in net worth, you have something worth distributing, and the absence of basic estate planning documents, a will, a durable power of attorney, a healthcare directive, beneficiary designations reviewed and updated, means that distribution will be determined by state law rather than your intentions, and the process will cost your heirs time, money, and conflict that none of them have been prepared for. A basic estate plan through an estate attorney costs approximately $1,500 to $3,000, depending on complexity and geography. It produces a will that distributes your assets as you intend, rather than as the state defaults, a durable power of attorney that designates someone to manage your affairs if you're incapacitated, a healthcare directive that specifies your medical decisions if you cannot make them, and beneficiary designations reviewed and aligned across every account. Because a beneficiary designation on a retirement account supersedes a will, and outdated designations are one of the most common and most costly estate planning failures. The $2,000 spent on estate planning at $250,000 is not a wealthy person luxury. It is the minimum documentation required to ensure that the 20 years of financial discipline that built the $250,000 produces the outcome you intended rather than the outcome state intestacy law would have chosen for you.
7. Experiences that expand your financial reference frame. This is the category that requires the most careful framing because it is the most susceptible to misapplication, but it belongs on this list because the research on it is consistent and the mechanism is real. Travel to different economic environments, not the resort version of a country, the functional version, produces a specific cognitive benefit that cannot be replicated by content consumption. Seeing how different financial systems, different approaches to work and commerce, different relationships between status and wealth operate in practice changes the reference frame against which you make financial decisions. The person who has seen multiple economic environments makes different decisions about status purchases, lifestyle sizing, and risk tolerance than the person who has only ever operated in one. The specific experience is worth buying at $250,000, travel that involves genuine engagement with a different economic environment rather than observation of it from a luxury buffer. Dinner with people at different net worth levels, higher and lower, where the conversation is real rather than performative. Access to communities of people who have navigated the specific financial transitions ahead of you and are willing to talk about them honestly. The return on these experiences is not measurable in the same way investment returns are measurable, but the decisions they improve about risk, about lifestyle, about what enough actually looks like, compound in ways that eventually show up in the balance sheet even when the mechanism isn't visible.
7 categories, none of them the luxury purchases the financial performance industry wants you to aspire to. None of them the deprivation the savings rate industry wants you to maintain indefinitely. The fee-only planner who optimizes the tax decisions the existing balance creates. The term life policy that protects what you've built. The health infrastructure that extends the horizon over which the compounding works. The time purchased back from the activities that produce no return. The education that raises the income ceiling that compounding works against. The estate plan that ensures the distribution matches the intention. The experiences that expand the frame within which every future financial decision gets made. $250,000 is not the finish line. It is the level at which the financial decisions available to you change, and the framework that got you here needs updating to take advantage of what's now possible. The restraint built the foundation. What you build on top of it is a different conversation, and now you're ready to have it. You spent years buying less to build the foundation. Now the foundation is built. Start buying what makes it grow. Subscribe for a new video every week, and drop in the comments where your net worth currently sits. The conversation down there is worth reading.